Hey all. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Hey all. Okay.
That was terrible.
That was lame. Okay. It is Sunday, I don't know if you can see it, cocktail hour, pink pig hour. This is my cocktail glass. I only drink gin, and I only drink it out of this glass.
He only drinks gin and tonics.
I will drink gin and juice if we're out of tonic.
Yeah,
so anything with gin, basically. So here we are, Sunday, and what we're going to talk about with the two Pete Townsend guitars is the two Who concerts that we have seen together. In fact, the only two I've ever seen. 1989, and the other one was 25 years later. Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it?
Probably.
It was the 25th and the 50th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. 2014.
Probably, yeah.
But anyway, let's go back to the first one. So, it's 1989, the summer of love. 1989, and we had just met, but we were not dating only because she wouldn't. Because I was working you hard. I was trying hard.
You
did
already had
a
ask
boyfriend.
me almost every day. We worked a summer job together. You did ask me almost every time we worked together.
Yes, I did.
If I would go get ice cream with you.
And
my answer was no.
And you know what's weird? I kept asking you to go get ice cream. Me and my buddy went to get ice cream. Who did we run into there?
Me and my
you
friend.
And your friend.
Yes.
So of course my buddy. My buddy goes after her, and I ended up going after her friend. But at the very least,
we were both dating other people at the time, anyways. That's why. No,
well,
me and my friend.
You guys were. I mean, I was sort of. I had like 5 girls I was going out on dates with, but not dating any of them because none of them would, like be my girlfriend.
Gotcha.
Because they were smart. So it's 1989. With this other girl I was dating, I asked her. I invited her to go to the Who concert, and I had to camp out for tickets for that. That's how big a deal this was because it's the reunion, and they already done a farewell tour. I mean, they do a farewell tour every 18 months now, but at the time it was a big deal. And so I got the tickets for that, and you agreed to go as friends because the girl I was going to go with, and I say girl because we were in college, we were young, it was a girl. And she at the last second, it was like 2 or 3 days before, had said she wasn't going to go. So it's it's a week and a half.
She flaked out.
She flaked out. No, she was blowing me off. It's more than flaked out. She got smart somewhere along the way. And so she wasn't going to go. So I was in dire straits. So you agreed to go.
Because I was dating someone else at the time, and he stopped calling me. So
right, and I have my suspicions why he stopped calling you. I don't think he was into girls. Okay. I don't care whether he's into girls or
you never
guys
met
or anything.
him. How do you
showed me
know?
his picture.
One picture. No, stop. Don't even say it. Don't say it.
Let me just say as a dude
Don't.
who is straight, and again, I care not one whit about gender identity or sexuality or anything like that. If you saw the picture, you'd know too.
Oh, stop.
So
Maybe it was.
you agreed to go on the proviso that it would just be as friends, and this isn't going to lead to anything. And here we are 36 years later. But anyway, so we go, and we get there. It was Rich Stadium. It was still called Rich Stadium at the time. Soon to be plowed under, as a matter of fact, the whole stadium.
Yeah, that's right.
So we go, and now I had, well, first of all, she agreed to go. She was not a classic rock person.
I think you made me a bunch of tapes or something.
I could
bone up on the Who before the concert.
I had to do a mixed tape, an actual cassette tape of Who songs that I
wanted to be
assumed they might
prepared to sing along.
Yeah, sing along. Just to recognize the music. So that's how clueless she was at the time. Mrs. James was. Actually, Ms. James. We weren't married. at the time, Miss James.
Miss James. Okay.
So we go. I did not have high hopes because in all the hype, and there was a ton of hype leading up to it. Pete was doing interviews talking about, "Oh, I'm just doing this for the money. I don't really like this." That's all old news now because he says that all the time now. At the time, we were like, "What? He hates his fans."
You had already decided you were not going to like this concert. You're like, they're going to have a horn section.
Was I wrong?
No, you weren't.
Pete's not going to play much electric guitar. He did like one or two tunes, and that was it.
And so you ahead of time had already decided you weren't going to.
I decided that it was going to suck, and I was right. It sucked. However, there were one or two cool moments. They opened with that Tommy medley, and they had the big pinball, the blow-up ball that they threw out in the crowd, and everybody was bopping this big pinball around. That was kind of cool. But it generally, I would say, sucked. One, the lead guitar player that they got, Pete Chosen himself, was playing this Alex Lifeson type lead stuff. Not the good Alex Lifeson that I like from the early years, but the sort of esoteric, all that crap. I don't like that stuff. Alex Lifeson's great. Don't get me wrong. He's awesome. That's just not my kind of playing. And I just thought it did not fit the Who at all. They needed a riff person. Even if it was someone who didn't play lead guitar, that would have been a better choice, in my opinion. I would have been a better choice, in my opinion.
At that time, would you have been a better choice?
At that time, I probably at 21, because I could have played all the riffs without getting into all this lead nonsense. Because Pete's not a lead player, man. I could have gotten through that set. Okay, he did that Friend is a Friend. I couldn't have gotten through that pile of crap. There were a few things that they did in the set list that I wasn't pleased with. But anyway, so we get through it. Now, the other thing was, the first thing when we arrived before showtime, and I don't think there was an opening act, but two things of note beforehand. One was I needed to get a T-shirt, so I generally, in those days,
get a bootleg one.
Would try to seek out a counterfeit T-shirt person, like outside. And of course, sure enough, there were people wandering out of the parking lot with selling shirts. So this one kid was he was fairly skinny like me. But his body looked like he was a little bit chubby because that was his inventory. He was wearing all the shirts that he was going to sell. Yeah, he literally is wearing 30 T-shirts. His body was fat. So if you said, "I want a medium," he'd take off 8 shirts until he got to a medium, and he'd give you that shirt. And I remember you saying at the time, "I don't want to be the one to buy the last shirt, the one that's actually touching his skin." So I got my T-shirt, which I still have. Some of you have probably seen it on the channel. I still wear it on occasion. It's beat up, it's faded, but I still got it. So we get to the show. Then inside, everybody's milling around. It's the typical pre-concert stuff.
Pre-concert jitters.
Just that vibe. That's one of the most enjoyable things is that for me is the anticipation of the show.
Yeah.
Especially in those days when it was different. There was I don't know, if you weren't around, you might not understand it. But today, a concert seems like a fairly safe thing. You're not worried about your life or your safety. But at the time, back then, and this was only 10 years after Cincinnati. So, there was a little bit, there was a little tiny element of danger, and for me, that's what made it fun. But just the anticipation and people doing crazy stuff and like stoned people on PCP going crazy. It was fun watching all that. So we get to the show. I didn't have high expectations. None of them were met because it was a pretty awful. It was not the Who. I was under no illusions that we were seeing the Who. It wasn't. It was the world's greatest Who tribute band, and it just so happened that 3 of the people in that band were also members of the Who, but they was not the Who. I'm trying to think of the set list. In the hype of it leading up to it, they're going to bring out all these old chestnuts that they haven't played in years.
Chestnuts?
Roasting the old chestnut.
That's a saying?
Oh, jeez.
What?
How have we stayed together all this time? You've never heard that?
No.
Roasting an old chestnut.
No, I've heard of roasting chestnuts. I've never heard that as
Just going to pause for a second and take a swig here.
Roasting old chestnuts. Okay.
Gin and tonic, baby. It's good. Good. The only way to fly. Yes, roasting an old chestnut. Okay. Re-roasting a chestnut. So I think they were in all the interviews, Pete was saying, "Yeah, we're going to do Marianne with the shaking hand. It's going to be great." They didn't do any of that crap. It was what you would expect. The Who set list really hasn't changed since the Quadrophenia tour. Let's face it. They add the occasional thing, but that's about it. One new song from an album. So I thought it sucked. There were 18 people on the stage. The killer for me. This was the last straw. And you really back me up. Halfway through the show, I suggested we leave. That's how disgusted I was. It was Vegas schlock crap, and I wanted out. But this was our first date that you agreed to go on with me. So we stuck it out.
We were with another
We were with another couple.
couple,
Yeah. Well, I was perfectly happy to wait out at the car and not view this monstrosity. Seriously, dude, I was such a purist back in those days. I was really disgusted by that.
I was probably more like, we can't leave. That's rude.
It was Pete's gonna see us walking out, and his feelings will be hurt. I just thought it was the furthest thing from rock and roll that I had seen up to that point, and I didn't like it. There was one cool moment though, and I think it was like July 17th or something was the date of it, 89.
It was whatever
It was, but it was the night of the full moon. So it got to "Won't Get Fooled Again," and during the instrumental section, the do 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 in the middle of it, toward the end of it, they on the big screen, they had big TV screens on either side of the stage. They just showed a shot of the full moon, and they turned off all the lights except they didn't have lasers. They just had lights, and that was so lame. However, the shot of the full moon, that was pretty cool.
I do kind of.
That had nothing to do with the band, nothing to do with the music, but it was a cool moment for a concert. That was alright. Other than that, didn't like it at all. Then the last thing was walking or going back to the car. I don't know if you know Rich Stadium. But in the parking lot, there were these sort of gullies between different sections of the ditches, between the sections of the parking lot. And wisely, I decided, we can just go through this one. We don't have to walk around it. We'll jump through it.
We'll get past all of these stupid people who are walking on the concrete.
All the idiots are walking around
on the asphalt.
We're the smart ones who are going to just leap right through.
We'll walk through the gully.
So I get through no problem. She did not get through no problem.
My shoe got sucked into the mud.
Stuck in the mud.
I took a step, brought my foot up, and I was
and of course I'm like, I'm going to win this girl over.
I told him, don't even bother. Don't
no, madam. I'm your hero. So I go in there and I reached into, I don't know how your leg got in that far, but it was like 3.5 feet down. The distance down to where your shoe was is actually longer than your leg. So I'm not sure how that was. So I get in and I pull this thing, I am the hero. And she's like, I don't want this shoe. There's mud all over it. So I just chucked it. And you went,
I was polite and I said, oh, thank you.
Thank you for being polite.
And I brought it home and then threw it out.
Okay, well, I'm going to count that as a victory for chivalry.
They were sandals, and they were, people watching this channel are not going to know this because it's mostly men, but it's like ladies who are watching this, you'll remember those woven woven sandals, like leather, like lots of weaving of the leather strips. There was mud in all of those. There's no way I was getting it out, and I was not going to try.
But I had to do what I did.
It was very nice.
I had to.
Yes.
Okay.
You know why you had to do that? Because that day you realized
this is the girl I'm going to marry.
I have options.
After I saw you flirting with those other people.
I wasn't flirting.
They were flirting. They were in on you.
Yes.
Did we go through that yet?
No.
Okay. Before the concert's going to start, everyone's milling around, and I look up. We were down on the floor, or field, because there was a Who concert. They were, after Cincinnati, there was no general admission at that point. But it was all reserved seats. Yeah. So we were down on the field. And I said, I see a girl that I go to school with. I got to go over and say hello to her. So I go over. I'm gone for 5 minutes.
I don't know how long.
5 minutes.
It felt like a long time.
I was gone for 5 minutes, and I come back, and there's guys around her like flies around a pile of honey. And I come up, I'm like, I leave for 2 seconds. And you're already trying to figure out a better option.
I did nothing. I just sat there.
Yeah, I'm sure
and they just came to me.
So needless to say.
And one of them, I'm trying to fend them off. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I bet you're trying to.
I'm with someone. Oh, did he leave you? No, he's just
Oh,
over
can
there.
he beat me up?
He's just talking to someone that he goes to school with.
Okay, and I should just note for the record here. This is not. I'm not going to let this go any further before I note this.
What?
The girl I was talking to, she
I
was
don't know
awesome.
who
and-
she
and
was.
I liked her a lot as a friend. She was great. I went to school with her and everything. She
Not
was
your
not
type.
somebody I was going
Not
to
your
fall in
type.
love with. Okay.
I get it.
She was not
Yeah.
that. She
No,
was that. She was just a really
those
great
guys were laying it on thick. They're like, "Well, I would never leave you by yourself at a concert."
Little lady. Ooh. Who are you? Hoo. See me, feel me. So at any rate, I dodged that bullet. So we go to that show, and we left. I was as disgusted as I thought I would be. So here we are, fast forward 25 more years. That sounds even weird to say. 25 more years, and she's going to see, her friend wanted to see, her friend who claims to know a lot about rock
She
music.
claims,
Psst, she doesn't. She says, hey, you and I are going to have a girls' night out. We'll go to see The Who. They were on that 50th anniversary tour. So, of course, I'm like, oh, ladies.
Oh, no.
A concert is a dangerous place for two women to go without
I was
a
like-
man. If you could see the bicep, it's huge.
I was like, I don't think you realize
Concerts aren't like that.
the people who are going to be at this concert.
Well,
it's gonna be fun.
again, I'm an idiot. I'm still in 1980s mode of going to concerts when there was an element of danger to it. So I said, okay, I'll go with you. I'll just make sure you don't get trampled or something. Whatever I was going to do.
Whatever you were thinking.
So then, of course, her friend backs out at the last minute, and we're going to a Who concert that I did not want to go to.
But
Now, first off, we're wandering around
oh yeah, we were going up to where our seats
were, and we did not get the expensive seats. This was in an arena, so we didn't get the floor seats. We got seats because I didn't want to mess with all the people down on the floor and all the shoving that goes on and all the dangerous
Meanwhile,
people.
it's a bunch of 50 and 60-year-old
Oh,
people.
it was
no,
completely the opposite.
We're not shoving people
No,
around.
first off, every seat was reserved. So we go up to, we're going
Wherever
up
it
to the
was.
top of the arena where our seats were, the nosebleeds, and there's a little desk there as you're going to walk in. And the guy says, let me have your tickets. I hand him tickets. He hands us 2 different tickets back, and he goes,
Like,
you're
no,
good.
You're going to sit here instead.
So
Okay.
evidently the highest,
They didn't sell enough
they didn't
tickets,
sell out.
So.
So they curtained that whole thing off, and everybody who had tickets for up there, they moved everybody back down to make it more full. And this arena is probably 18,000, 20,000. So there was
good
probably
size.
15,000 in there. It wasn't empty,
No.
but just the top wasn't. So okay. But also as we're walking around and going up there, who did I run into? Simon Townsend, who I'm also a fan of. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, so we go in there, we get to our seats. Now, it was like what I would compare it to. It's not like, if you're my age, 56, and you remember what concerts were like. For one, you didn't sit down for the entirety of a concert. You were standing. And that was mainly for safety reasons. But that was the way it used to be. So we go in there, and it's
Everyone
like
was sitting.
it's like watching a
There was
movie in a really
families.
big theater.
Yeah,
exactly.
There was families.
And in
there.
fact, right in front of us, there was a
it was
family.
very lovely.
But it wasn't a rock concert. It was
just a concert, yeah.
It wasn't a rock concert. But this
But it was
family,
good.
and like the parents and the kids, they're all like this, doing the thing back. See me, feel, listening to you. Okay, that was a bit much. I was like, man, Keith Moon is rolling over in his grave somewhere.
They would have all
No.
been-
I'm not trying to be too cynical. I got to admit, that was kind of cool because I'm like,
I
wow,
thought it was nice.
those are like junior high aged children,
It was good vibes.
and they're Who fans.
I was there for the vibes.
Exactly, and I'm like, so the Who's music will live for at least
Yeah.
that generation.
Yeah.
So it was encouraging, I will say. I will say, Pete's attitude, thumbs up, Pete. More of that, please. Not the grumpy old curmudgeon that you've become, well, since 1973.
No, he seemed.
More than 50
yeah, he
years.
seemed to be in a
He
good
was
mood.
laughing and joking and everything. And there was one point where he goes, he said, hey, this next one, it's an old one. Who am I kidding? They're all old ones. You know, that was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, he was enjoying himself. I'm sure that's a prepared
He says
joke
that every
he had.
show.
But it was still good, and he seemed to be having fun. He wasn't bitchy like he could be sometimes. So that was great. Roger sounded fantastic.
He did.
My mind was blown. However, over the course of the show, he absolutely lost steam. And so, and here's an example. And I thought this was actually clever. During Love Reign Over Me at the end, when it gets to the la, and Roger does that scream at the end on the very last note or word of the song, and then, you know, all the instruments get destroyed, you know, that ending of it. So I was like, okay, I was anticipating that all through the song. I'm like, what's he going to do? Is he going to hit that note? Is he going to try to hit that note?
I don't remember.
Instead of going for that high note, he did the opposite. He went, and he did the lowest note possible. I was like, thank you, Roger.
Clever.
Thank you. Thank you for not humiliating yourself and making all of us feel old.
You know your limits.
He knows his limits. And guess what? When he did the low note, it was awesome.
It's fine.
It was great. So, okay. The other highlight was we needed to hear, and I knew it was a long shot and a fantasy.
You're gonna say my
but
song.
both of our favorite songs is a quick one while he's away.
Yes.
And they did it.
And they played it.
And it was awesome. But I absolutely
think you
could
and I
not
were
believe
the
it.
only people
We
singing
sang
along.
everywhere and all the way through the whole thing. We're the only ones that knew it. Oh, and here's one that almost ruined the whole evening because I was totally happy with that show. Simon was great. It was a stripped down band, and I will say the most musicians they had on the stage at any one time was 5, which is awesome because Simon plays the second guitar and they had a keyboard player in addition to the bass player. So fine with that. Oh! Almost forgot. Joan Jett was the opening act.
I was gonna say
She
Joan
kicks
Jett.
so much
She was
ass.
good.
Joan Jett, I will adore Joan Jett for my entire rest of my life. I've loved her since 1981 or whenever that was. I still love her. She is awesome. But she just killed
She was
as
good.
the opening act. Perfect. So set the stage just right. So I'm trying to think of other highlights. I was mainly impressed by Pete's attitude of actually seeming like, I know he doesn't like playing live and he doesn't get off on it or whatever else, but he put on a good act that he was enjoying. But between the two shows, absolutely, the one I saw 25 years earlier, I was like, that is it. The Who.
Never seen the Who again.
It really did taint my
Terrible.
opinion of the band. I have to say it. It's true though.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they were so
But
great for so long, and now they absolutely suck.
Aren't you glad that you saw
Oh my
them
gosh!
again?
It redeemed everything I felt.
It erased that bad memory.
Everything I felt, it just totally erased it. And I will. I'm trying to decide. I think that show, the second one we saw, the 50th show. I think it's a top 10 of any show.
Really?
I think it's a top 10. That's how good
Interesting.
that show was. And the cool thing was, it was one of those ones they were doing. This was 10 years ago, probably. Is that 10 years ago? Probably. They were. After the show, you could go on the Who's website and order a recording of it, which I did. So when I got that recording, I'm like, was I just sort of high on the moment, or was it a good show?
It was a good show.
I can confirm it. I can listen to it today with objective, viewpoint, and it was a good show.
Yeah.
So we've seen the Who twice. One was 89.
Yes.
I hated it. I can't hate the event because I got this out of it. Well, you can't see. I got this out of it. I got the whole thing, really.
You got more than the
no complaints. Yeah, the torso is the best part.
Okay.
I got a lot out of it, but the second one really was. I was like, whew, thank God. They not only did they not embarrass themselves, they acquitted themselves totally.
They're going to be so happy
to hear me
that they
sing.
won you back.
They won me back so I can buy yet another reissue of Who's Next. So what are they going to do this time? Are they going to have like a choir of beagles singing Won't Get Fooled Again? I don't know. I look forward to however Pete decides to re-release Who's Next yet again in some other form. We'll see. But yeah, I was back on the Who train.
Quincy,
After that.
who's right down here, says she would love to.
We're
She's
gonna get him up here.
standing.
We're gonna get him up here.
Come here, baby. Oh, come here. Get in the picture.
She's not getting in the picture. She's not cooperating.
Oh.
Sorry, Paul. So that is
There she
a
is.
tale of
There she
two
is.
Who
Move your
concerts.
guitar.
You see her nose? You see my baby's
Oh,
nose?
the
See my
nose,
little
yeah.
baby's nose? There's your nose right there. Those are the two Who concerts. Opposite ends of the spectrum, 25 years apart. But
What were you saying?
well, no. I'm trying to think. If the Who break up, like now,
Yeah.
we will survive longer, potentially, than the Who if we live long enough.
Okay.
Who will last longer? Well, I'll just pose the question. Who will last
Who
longer?
will last longer?
There you go. The Who will last longer. No. Let's hope not. So those are our two Who concerts. Maybe we'll go through. We should go through the Plantain page. There are some other concerts that we've been to that are worthy of discussion. But 89 tour.
But
2014. It was
I
2014.
don't know what year it was.
25 years later, yes.
Okay.
2014. I do math good. That one is a thumbs up. And we still survive. Give me a kiss.
Barely.
Good luck.